Hey, welcome back to my channel, and I'm super glad that you're here. We're not going to talk about the fact that there's a huge gap between my last video and this video. It's winter and things are drag, but we're here now, so let's do it. Today, I'd like to talk about being social and creating connections and how we can do that and make it witchy. I know there's a lot of emotional hang-ups for people my age especially around social interactions, and a lot of us have adopted the moniker of introvert, and we use that to create very strong boundaries for ourselves. And I know I've made my opinions known about this dichotomy of introvert extrovert and how it's not good to put yourself into a little box and slap a label on it, and that human behavior, especially around relationships and things like that, is extremely contextual. Humans don't have batteries. There's no such thing as a social battery. And it's not even a good metaphor for what we do have. Because being social and building relationships is tiring, but it really depends on the who and the what you're doing and the where you're doing it and when. So let's try to maybe address some of those hang-ups before we even get started. And on that note, my fashion inspiration for today is definitely very gothic. So we're gonna say that it's in the spirit of being antisocial. If you grew up in the 90s like I did, and I think it extends into the early 2000s as well, the idea of being antisocial was absolutely something to be avoided. Your parents didn't want you to be antisocial. Schools tried to train you up to not be antisocial. And I think that we've created this sort of backlash against that idea. And we've reclaimed our personal and private spaces to be these sacred spaces, which I think is really wonderful. We can have quiet alone time, we can get to know ourselves, we can spend time with ourselves without it making us a loser or a loner. But that being said, all isolation does have its limits, and I think that we're testing those limits right now because we're all in a little bit of isolation. So why is it so hard to make friends in adulthood? And it seemed so easy when we were kids, or even when we were in university. And the reason is because there's a prescribed amount of hours that it takes for a person to bond with another person and to become comfortable with that other person. When you are a child or you're in school, you're sort of forced to be around other people all day long, and then you also spend outside of school time together for activities, and you also had a lot of sleepovers, and it was just hours and hours of exposed bonding time. And so even if you didn't really have anything in common with that person, your childhood friends tend to be very strongly bonded to you, and that doesn't necessarily last forever, but it can. But at the time, it's a very comfortable and pure relationship. And I know a lot of adults are looking to find that later in their life, but who has the time? So we're talking about even the most casual friendships require between 20 and 40 hours of time, closeness, within a 3-week period. That's a lot of time to set aside for something like that. And, we're all just busy trying to survive a lot of the time. Deep friendships take hundreds of hours to form. It's not fair to expect yourself to, click with somebody casually and then to suddenly have the sort of deep relationship that you may have formed with, folks that you were with in university, where you were with them day in, day out for years. We wonder if it's even possible for adults to reach that level of friendship, to be able to set aside that many hours, because it takes a lot of awkwardness and vulnerability to give a friendship a chance. Sometimes we do look at those Instagram girl tribes, and it is a lot of cringe, but I think their intentions are in the right place. We could all use more friends, so let's make it a goal while we maybe still have a little bit of free time due to our current situation, to make some friends. So how do we make friends but we make it witchy? The first thing that you should do is you gotta let your freak flag fly. I've actually gained more friends just being open about my strangeness. There's a dating app called Bumble, and it has a whole category just for people to make friends, and it's called Bumble BFF. And I just put on my profile that I like witchy shit, and that that sort of weeds out the people that are not comfortable with that sort of thing, and also attracts those people that might be into that sort of thing. I also make the odd post on social media that's a little strange, and then I'll get private messages from acquaintances that I do have a friendship with, but that, you know, like we have this deeper connection because they're like, oh, I didn't know you're a witch. I'm also a witch. Like, let's be friends. Sorry, I should have put an ASMR trigger warning on that. Some friendships are just online, and they're with people who are nowhere near me, so there's no way that I could have a coffee date with them. But I still really value that online friendship where we just converse over messages. It's important to find the right platform. Instagram has become sort of an empty shell, and I haven't really had any luck finding fun content there. TikTok seems to be a raging dumpster fire most of the time. I really love Reddit, and I know that Reddit has a bad reputation with some people, but I think it depends on the group, and I think it depends on the moderation of the group. But I have interacted with some really amazing people on Reddit. I've had a Discord account for a very long time, and I'm just sort of a slow learner when it comes to social media and tech things. But slowly I'm getting used to it, and I can really see the value. It does have a more personal connection. It tends to be smaller groups. I really like the voice conversation, like chat line option. It really feels like those old, like Yahoo Messenger type chat rooms. And speaking of throwbacks, I am also on a new social media that is a clone site of MySpace, and it's called Space Hey, and I made an account just for the lulz, like at first, but I'm actually like meeting some fun people on this site that I wouldn't have met probably through any other platform. I've had some really interesting conversations, read some great blogs, and I mean, I'm not bored of it yet, so we'll just see where it goes. So online connections isn't going to completely cut it, and maybe a year from now we're actually going to be able to go and see people in real life. So how do you make those real life friends in real life circumstances? Now, this is going to depend wildly on your geography. I'm from a pretty small rural area. You would think it'd be very hard to find the skeptically minded, like spooky witches. However, you can find them. You just have to know where to look, because they might be a little hidden, because they might be avoiding detection by, you know, the yokels. If you're from a more urban area, it might be really easy. You might have a witch shop. You might have actual witch groups. And if you're from the sticks, you might have to form your own group. So in suburbia, where I am, you might find the right location, but you just have to look past the disguise. So the group that I found locally runs out of a tea shop. So like you go into the tea shop and pretty quickly you notice like there's a little bit of weird decor going on. There's some fun flyers. You get to talking with the barista, and then pretty soon you're like, okay, yes, I have found my people. And then before you know it, you're getting invited to, you know, some rituals that'll happen that weekend in the woods. Because, you know, suburban moms, like, they're looking for some escapism too. I guarantee that somewhere close to you is like a crystal shop. Maybe it's in the back room of a scrapbooking store, but it's there and you just have to find it. Another tip I have for you for making friends is just be very open to serendipity and happenstance. I have met my dearest, witchiest friend through a complete coincidence. We happened to be at the same like charity ball, and I was volunteering to do card reading as sort of entertainment, right? And this woman walks up to my table, and it's a costume party, but she's wearing like a full corset and flowing skirts, and she's got hair like down to her waist, and she's just very elegant, very spooky, and extremely intimidating. For context, I had just moved to this place, so I didn't really know anybody, and so I was lonesome and awkward and kind of sad. Anyway, so I'm laying cards for this absolute icy goth queen, and I pull up a series of cards. I'm not exactly sure what the spread was, but I know the center was the Three of Hearts, which is about like social circles or building new friendships. So I'm reading the cards, and I tell her, I said, you need a new friend to come into your life. And it's me. That friend is me. And I am a socially awkward lamb, and 9 out of 10 times this sort of boldness ends terribly for me, absolute embarrassment. But I think it's worth taking those risks. Yeah, it gives me a lot of invasive thoughts to like shudder when I'm trying to take a shower, but in this case it did pay off. It was totally worth it. Like, that friendship absolutely blossomed. And I'm really grateful to have this person in my life. And my final tip that I'm going to bestow on you probably isn't something that we can do. Hopefully, maybe a year from now, it'll be the normal again. But it's a good idea to just facilitate reasons to be together with your people. Because like I said in the beginning, friendship is a game of hours. It takes a certain amount of hours to bond with a person. So if you are not making up excuses to spend, hours with these people, then those friendships aren't going to form. And then we're just going to like lay awake at night and wonder how we made it this far into our adult lives without meaningful, deep friendships. And online meetings, like, I know they're exhausting. I know that cocktail hour on Zoom makes you tired and frustrated, and sometimes more sad than when you started the call. But it's important that we put in the work and we put in the struggle. It's like, any other chore in our adult life, like doing the dishes and doing the laundry. It's self-care and it's maintenance, and it's difficult, and sometimes it's painful, and sometimes it's embarrassing, but it's really, really important. I think it'd be interesting to come up with ritual ideas to help gain confidence for making and preserving and working on friendships. And maybe that's something I'll make a video for in the future. But if you have such a ritual, comment below, because I would be really interested to see it. Well, that's the end of the video. For those of you that made it to the very bitter end of this video, I do want to let you know that I've been kind of toying around with the idea of starting a Discord server for this channel. I have seen other YouTubers and content creators create Discord channels as part of like benefits for Patreon, like for tiers. And I don't have memberships like that, and I don't do any sort of paid promotion or memberships. So it wouldn't be behind a paywall, but we're pretty early on in the process, so I haven't found any moderators yet. But just that's something to kind of keep an eye out for in the future. If it's something that you are like really excited about and you want to kind of get in on the ground floor, if you want to be like a beta tester, if you could send me an email just kind of saying, hey, give me a spot in line for this, then we'll see kind of where it develops from there. No promises, it might never come to fruition at all, but it's just something I've been thinking about, and I just wanted to share with you guys. Okay, so it is snowing buckets, and so I think I gotta go scoop my step again. So until next time, bye bye.